Rex Reviews podcast. It's Lou McCoy, Casey Day, Tiborosaurus Rex, and a very special in-studio guest today, Mr. Paul McCoy from Mac Precision, and it's an honor to have him here in the studio today. And we've hinted at this for some time, and we promised the folks before the break that we're going to make the biggest announcement ever on the podcast, maybe in the history of the Rex Reviews whole project. This is big, right, guys. This is big stuff going on here.
We're going to offer rifle training, and it's going to be a couple different ways we're going to provide this. We have a seminar coming up in Dallas, Texas area, and it's going to be a prerequisite course, which is going to very much assist you, and we strongly recommend taking this class. It's going to be a classroom environment. We're going to bring you up to speed on all the fundamentals of things that you really need to know before you get started with on-the-range instruction. So for folks who are curious about how long-range shooting is done, this is going to be an excellent class for you guys to take. And also for those folks who are going to eventually want some in-person training with Rex and other designated instructors that are some of the top guys in the country, we're going to put this together in a way that's going to bridge you to be able to be up to speed so that when you get the most out of the in-person class that's going to be on the range. And that's going to be sometime in the fall this year is what the plan is currently, and those announcements will come later. But right now, we do have RX-17 coming up.
RX-17, the Long Range Precision Rifle Seminar. It's going to be going on June 16th through the 18th, Father's Day weekend, and it's going to be happening in Grapevine, Texas, which is part of Dallas, Fort Worth.
Located just north of the DFW airport, literally 5 minutes north of the North Gate.
Very easy to get to, and you can usually get pretty good airfare going to the big airport, the Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport there. So if you can get to that airport, it's going to be very easy to find that event.
Yes, sir. And for a long time, Rex, people have wanted you to do something like this, and you're always a little scared, dare we say?
No, just, it's something that I didn't honestly have the time to do. As a guy who works full-time also elsewhere doing other things, and just the political climate was such that it was a little bit sketchy back in the day to especially with this particular course of instruction. A lot of people, if you learn how to professionally operate a bolt-action rifle, that's a lot of horsepower there. You're quite the deadly machine, whether you're going to be deer hunting or whatever you're going to be doing. So it's something that the guy's a little bit hesitant on originally. But honestly, we've got a lot of really good discerning listeners, and a lot of really good folks have been requesting training for a long amount of time. And it's been hard to point them towards a particular class that would fulfill all the things I would like to see people walk away with in a class. And so there's certain things that I want people, when they take a class from me, because I'm kind of a perfectionist and an idealist, I would not feel happy sending people away without learning a certain amount of stuff. So the way that we're structuring this is going to cover all the basics, assuming if you are like totally brand new, we're going to attempt to bring you up to speed as best we can through a whole set of supplementary instructions ahead of time. We're going to offer pay-per-form emails. We're going to have special videos that are only going to be available to the people taking this seminar course that are going to bring you up to speed on some of the key things you're going to need to know to get you set up. So if you're brand new, this is an excellent way to get started, but also be prepared to hit the ground running too. We're going to ramp you up as best we can to get up to the level to where you can discern what we're talking about when we get into some heavy-duty, serious instruction down the road, which is going to also be available to anyone who's going to take the seminar. You're going to be able to deduct the fees from the seminar tuition for the real-life training class in the future. So it's going to save you a lot of money, and it's going to really prepare you. Otherwise, a lot of people run into in-person rifle training, and they don't have a lot of the basic information covered that is really required to even start and get the most out of what you're doing. If you just hand someone a guitar and say, okay, we're going to start learning the solo for Mr. Crowley from Ozzy Osbourne. It's like, okay, well, that's awesome guitar lesson right there, but they kind of need to know how to do basic stuff first. So that's the point of this seminar, is to bring people up to speed, teach them some awesome heavy-duty magic at the same time. Whether you're a very advanced, proficient, experienced professional shooter from any walk of life, I don't care what walk that is, there's a lot of different levels of professional shooters in the civilian world, the military world, the law enforcement world, whatever you're doing. We're going to provide some information that's going to really help you out. There's a lot of insight. We got some good collective experience that's going to be at the class here. I've got some experts in the field coming up. It's going to be good. But this seminar is going to be like key to bringing you up to speed right off the bat.
This will be a prerequisite for the actual on-the-range thing going on later this fall.
Yep. And this is something, too, that I've been hesitant over the years. One of the big reasons as well is really the attention to detail required to train someone. It's almost a process where you need to pay very close attention to what people are doing. And on any scale level, especially for in-person training, without having the opportunity to go through all the devil of the details, bringing them up to speed, to even take them out on the range. There's a lot of stuff you have to explain first. And some people might already know these things, but most people, even people who might think they know, there's certain ground that does need to be pounded and covered and verified and vetted that, okay, we're all on the same page here, so that when you do get a group of folks out on the range and you're going to teach them some long range magic, that everyone kind of knows what the heck you're talking about. But that's something that requires more than one guy.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Because, just there's other worlds of experience that people approach things from different angles too. And my experience level, I ain't going to say is like any superior to anyone else, but I think that there's a huge amount of value approaching it and triangulating in on the matter. And so I was really at a lack of putting this together by not having other people that participate in assisting me with the training. And I insist, because I didn't have the guys, really. I know some really, really good shooters, but it's really a unique skill set of finding people who are proficient with all the details in the mechanics and the experience of actually doing the shooting and the experience of doing it professionally, and also just
being able to teach it.
That's the other thing.
And that's why I'm excited about this, Rex, is because you, sir, are a natural-born educator and a loving teacher, and you always handle students with a gentle hand, and you always kind of just shepherd them in the right direction. And now that we've got Mr. McCoy here up in the Rex cave, this thing is for real.
That's the deal, and that's what I was waiting. I was waiting for Mr. McCoy to come along here because I needed someone who would be willing to throw everything they got at this, someone who is enthusiastically ready to rock and roll, where I don't have to bring them up to speed. And actually, Paul McCoy vastly exceeds my criteria that I had set in my mind originally. He's like the perfect guy to assist in this deal and to really take the bull by the horns and do the training, because Mr. McCoy here is pretty experienced. And from when I got to hang out with him enough and just from visiting, you can tell pretty quick that this guy knows what he's doing. And I can feel confident that you're going to get world-class precision rifle training that's not going to leave anyone disappointed. And I can cover a lot of the basics, and I have a lot of patience for newbies. And Mr. McCoy is going to be able to really hash out refining the details and the infinite complexities of pasting all this stuff together. So I'm excited to have him on board. And I remember I called him, a month or so ago, and I just kind of ran the idea by him because it's something I kind of thought of. I was encouraged by one of these other YouTube guys who's kind of a robust character who does training in a whole different field. He does carbine training and pistol training and more of a combat training application. But he encouraged me to maybe just think about trying to do a training course, and it's something that I was just hesitant to do. I didn't have the guys to help me, and so I ran it by Mr. McCoy, and his tail started wagging instantly. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm game, 100%. Where are you sending me? What continent we going to?" And so I'm excited to have this guy on board, and I there's no way it could happen without this guy, because he's going to cover a lot of that ground. He's going to be the man on the ground, like helping with the training and stuff. So I'm excited, man.
I'm excited to be a part of it. It's really funny when you and I had that conversation, because in my mind for probably 3 years, I've had this idea. And it was basically a 4 to 5 day long school where you brought people in and they actually left there knowing the things they needed to know. Not some of the stuff that I've been through and some of the classes where you learned a little more than you knew, but man, there was just so much of it that wasn't covered.
Now, you've been to some of these other civilian level classes and stuff for long range precision shooting. What's been your experience? That's something a lot of people have asked me on other podcasts and other questions. And what's been your observation on those?
You learn a little bit. You learn a thing or two from each class. I had some guys come out for me to teach who had been through a 3-day course at another long range shooting facility who didn't know how to true their velocity. They didn't even know what I was talking about. They'd never even heard the term. I don't know how anybody can consider themselves to have been trained in long range shooting if you don't even know how to determine the velocity of your bullet, which is one of the first things you have to do to ever hit anything.
Yeah, there are certain key things that are super important, and I think that the ability to identify what those things are is very important, and that's something I know that between Mr. McCoy's experience and my own experience, and we've troubleshot this from multiple angles, we're kind of on the same page on a lot of that stuff, and there are certain details that maybe are neglected.
So you and I started talking about this. I'd kind of had this dream of running a real in-depth, learn what you really need to learn to leave here a successful long-range shooter. So we started talking about this, and I think we agreed pretty quickly that the first thing we wanted to do was bring folks into a classroom setting and let's get a foundation of information into them so that when we bring them to the range, we can work on the things that really matter rather than all of the minutia that everybody thinks matters.
They're going to know the basics. They're going to understand angular adjustment units. They're going to understand the basic concept. They got to range the target, get a firing solution going, dial it in, and all that kind of stuff. Is a lot of stuff that can be pounded out most effectively in the classroom and would be wasted time on the gun range when you could be learning the actual magic of in doing the in-person instruction.
Yeah, there's a lot of muscle memory. There's a lot of just teaching your body to do the right things. So we're going to get to spend a lot more time on that when we have our actual on-range training course in the fall. We're hoping sometime in September. But this is something that I had an idea of for years, and then you and I started talking, and you had kind of had the same idea, and it was like, wow, we really had almost had the exact same thought. So we came up with this plan to have this 2-day, 1-night seminar there in Dallas at the Bass Pro Shops where we could go through all this stuff. Friday night's going to be awesome. We're going to have some people come in from the industry who build some of the best quality products around, and they're going to tell you about their products. They're going to tell you why their products are better. We're not getting, this is not something where we're trying to sell you a product. These are just guys that are really good at what they do, and they can explain to you not necessarily why their product is good, but what makes a bolt action a good action, what makes a barrel a good barrel, what makes a trigger a good trigger. And they're going to explain that stuff to you, and you're going to get to meet guys.
Yeah, you're going to get it straight from the horse's mouth, the engineers and the creators of these products who have really lived and breathed this stuff. So we're going to collect some of the best expertise in the world on some of these different matters and get them together in one place and allow them to project their knowledge onto you guys.
And one of the things that we really have talked about a lot on this is when you bring 80 guys in, and we're going to limit this class to 80 people. When you bring 80 people in, you've got 80 different sets of knowledge. You've got 80 different sets of expectations. It's impossible to build a curriculum that's going to be perfect for all 80 of those people. So we came up with the idea of sending some of the basic information out ahead of time through videos and written tutorials and things that the students will be able to read. And that way we can start and skim over the basic stuff, but we're going to get in the second day especially, we're going to get some really advanced topics, things that I have used and that other competition shooters use around the country. We shoot in a lot of varied conditions from mountains to prairies to wind to no wind to heat to cold. And we're going to get into some things that really work. We're going to get away from the things that you think work. I'm always amazed when people find out what I do and they start saying, well, you probably do this, or you probably own one of these, or you probably shoot this caliber. And it's the way that we are successful around the country shooting these competitions is not the way people think we do it. And so we're going to
correct a lot of the misconceptions, and we're going to really help people focus the time and energy that we're going to give them in this class on the things that really are going to gain them the most knowledge and the most the positive, to yield the best positive results. Because a lot of people burn their tires on a lot of issues that are interesting and sound cool and make you sound pretty neat, but in reality don't really add a lot of stature to your long range game. And so that's something that through the collective experience between Paul and myself and some of the other people, we're going to zero in on those things that are really going to help you get light years ahead of where a lot of folks might be right now. And you're going to gain tens and tens of years of experience and learn some of these pointers straight up. So it's going to be a huge value.
Yeah, we're really going to make, the goal of this is whether you're kind of a beginning shooter, an intermediate shooter, or maybe you've been shooting for a long time, but you're still not happy with your results. This class is going to have something for everyone. We're going to start with the basics, but we're going to get into some very advanced things that really, unless you have competed at a professional level or you've been probably a tier 1 military guy, even some of the lower military tier guys don't get into some of the things that we're going to cover. you're gonna get something out of this. And that was very important to both Rex and myself, is we don't want to just bring you in and charge you money and send you out the door. We want you to leave this class knowing that you have the information you need to now come to the range, and we can now get you squared away
and effectively apply fire.
Yes.
Yeah, and there's sometimes it's confusing, the swarming information too, and that's something that we're going to streamline. We're going to make sure that you get the things you need to know. We're going to put more weight on the things that are super important. And there's a lot of other sneaky stuff out there too, and there's going to be a lot of like golden egg type moments in here that I'm sure, even, I mean, talking with Mr. McCoy over the last couple of days, there's a few things I've suspected over my years of shooting that he's really confirmed or even explained in a different way that made me think. And some of that magic is what we're going to share with you guys. Some of the gold nuggets that a lot of folks are surprised to hear, that maybe, and we're going to straighten out some other things too that might be misconceptions as well. And we're going to really help you guys get zeroed in on the important things that are going to yield the actual results in real life. And then we will have the opportunity too. This is going to be a prerequisite course to the live training event to get you out there and prove to you that you can do it. And we're going to get you on target out there as best we can. And if you do your work as hard as we try to help you out, it's going to yield very good results. It's going to be a huge acceleration, a huge boost. It's going to be rocket fuel in your long range game.
Okay, so for the more direct listeners, what are the top 3 things they're going to walk away that are going to make them good shooters after this course? Top 3.
We're going to go through equipment. Most of the guys like myself who've done this for a while have spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on equipment that just didn't work, or it kind of sort of worked.
Yeah, Paul and I both have degrees in learning what doesn't work.
Yes.
And it costs way more than my college.
Yeah, we could fill Rex's basement up with all the stuff I have that didn't work.
Yeah,
and,
that's expensive lesson, man. And it's funny because, from reading online or a lot of people have maybe... There's a lot of people who push their products so well, and there's a lot of this stuff that seems like, from what you hear, the chatter around, and from even different folks who maybe are paid to push some of these products, some of this stuff doesn't actually work. So Paul and I are going to be straight shooters with you on that. We're going to square you away in equipment, and we're going to save you a ton of money, okay? And that's because that's true. I mean, I burned my tires for years, man, screwing around, and I know you have to just with the amount of rounds you're trying to shoot, it gets expensive, man. And so if you're trying to convince the wife of a reason why you need to spend a little bit of money, maybe as much money as you'd spend on a cheap 22 rifle or something, you're going to save like tens of thousands of dollars if you plan on being a long-range shooter. If you take the advice from some guys who know what they're doing, you can save a huge amount of money just in terms of equipment selection. And so we're going to zero you in on the reality of optics and rifle equipment and ammunition selection and everything you're going to need. And we're going to streamline your equipment selection process huge.
So that's number 1, equipment.
We're going to teach strategy. I've been teaching a long range for several years. I teach from a problem-solving aspect because that's what long-range shooting is. There's always a problem. It's your ammo, it's the rifle, it's your wind, whatever. But you're always going to get to the range most days, and there's going to be a problem, and you've got to learn how to solve those problems. So we're going to spend a lot of time on problem-solving. We're going to spend more time on problem-preventing because that's really our goal as a long-range shooter. To be successful, you've got to eliminate variables. And we're going to go through, and we're going to show you how to systematically eliminate variables so that when you miss a shot, you missed because you should have held more wind or you should have held less wind. That is ultimately the goal of any long-range shooter, is to eliminate all the other things that can cause you to miss a shot other than the wind.
Yeah, if you get your equipment selection done right and you get all the other mechanical variables addressed, then you're left to external ballistics. And once you get your elevation corrections, which can very much be scientifically accounted for, then a lot of it's left down to some of the other more subtle things, which are really the demons that cause 90% of your misses. And that's something that Paul's got a very good system worked out. He has a real magic on the way he explains these things, and it's going to simplify the equation. You're going to be doing a lot less worrying and thinking out there on the range after you take this instruction from us, because we're going to make sure that you have all those other things firmly buttoned down, and that when you miss, you can pretty much have a simplified explanation of what you need to do.
We've really worked hard at this, folks. This was not something we took lightly. We wanted this to be the best quality long-range instruction you could get. I do want to clarify that this is a classroom-only course.
Yeah, this first one is going to just be a seminar. It's going to be the prerequisite course and we will provide training later on, but this first one is going to be the seminar course.
Yes, we're going to go through all of the things that you need to work on to be successful, things that you can work on your own. And we're going to really try to let you leave this class ready to start learning correctly and start solving some problems. And then if you're able to make the actual on-range class in September, then you're going to be able to put the whole package together where you can be successful pretty much every time you go to the range, because we're going to go through the problems. We're going to teach you how to solve the problems. I'm going to teach you win strategy. I'm not going to teach you some magic formula that's going to allow you to know what the wind's doing 1,200 yards away. That doesn't exist. What does exist is strategy. And we're going to go through some of that. And Rex has used the word magic, but it is, what's going to be amazing is when you quit trying to use magic, it really, all of a sudden, it is magic, because your success rate goes through the roof because you've quit trying to become.
The magic is the logic system being streamlined.
There you go.
Yes,
it's like, it is really, projectile science is complex, but it doesn't need to be as complex as people make it out when you're spinning your wheels, running in a different direction, chasing your tail. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to give you a set program of how to go through the steps, really, and eliminating all those other variables, so that it's when you lay down with the rifle, you're only really worried about a couple different deals that you need to really, that you can focus your attention on those things that do require more of a degree of intuition and experience and interpretation and strategy. But the rest of that stuff, we're going to get you a streamlined process that's very effective in real life is what we're trying to accomplish.
Yes, this is going to be real world problem solving skills, so that, we're going to show you how to obtain a good 100-yard zero. That's something that most people completely underestimate the importance of.
I'll tell you what, hey, you guys think your rifles are zeroed? They might be, but maybe they're not. Maybe they're zeroed for a certain situation. And that's something that we're going to help you through, too. There's a lot of weird things that people don't even know exist that really have people scratching their heads. And so we're going to save you hundreds and hundreds or even thousands of dollars of ammunition and screwing around, replacing scopes, changing your rings, changing your chassis. Maybe I need to do this. Maybe I need a new caliber. And you're going to be screwing around for years chasing your tail when, in fact, it was just a simple deal you didn't realize existed. That if someone would have only told you that.
And and that is the benefit of in-person instruction, especially from some guys who know what they're doing. And I'm really excited about this, guys, because this is going to be some world-class training here, because between the quality of work and scientific knowledge that you have, Rex, and the quality of workmanship that Paul brings to the table and his passion and expertise, this is going to be second to none. And anybody who wants to show up can save themselves years of hard work and learning just by showing up. And we've talked about education so many times here on the show that this is just a prime example of the proper way to do it, is to absorb the knowledge from the guys who know what they're doing.
Yeah, the cheapest way to help someone learn how to fly a fighter jet is not just to, all right, here you go, fly it, because they're going to crash it. That's expensive. But you could maybe show them for a few hours or a couple days, like, okay, here's how to fly this thing. Here's the buttons, here's the throttle or whatever. And it's going to, you can't just hand someone the equipment and expect them to figure it out. That's not how this deal works. Training is very super important. It's by far a lot. You're going to get every bit as much and a lot more out of the in-person seminar and the communications, and especially the in-person training we're going to provide later in the year than you do on a YouTube supplemental instruction. You can't learn this stuff entirely from a book. You can square away a lot of the definitions. You can square away a lot of the science. You can, learning the fundamentals of what's going on scientifically is very important. And it's nice to have that stuff done ahead of time. And we're going to, like Mr. McCoy said here earlier, we're going to provide you and direct you towards what you need to concentrate on ahead of time, so that when you do come to the seminar, you're going to have some of these basic concepts you're going to have an idea of what's going on ahead of time, so that when we get to the seminar, we can concentrate more on that strategy and more on really streamlining your equipment selection. But we were talking earlier about, so we got the equipment selection is one of the big three things. The strategy is the other big thing. And the third thing, in my opinion, is going to be just a lot of the gems. There's going to be enough gems in this deal that are going to really fill up your crown when you come here wanting to learn some stuff. There's going to be a lot of surprises for a lot of folks. I can promise that. I think that there might be that one thing that you didn't realize existed. And when you're in a group of people, if you got a group of experts in the field on something, putting their heads together, and if you have a question or something, and we're going to get you squared away, there might be something you didn't realize that was a tiny deal that really threw off your game, and we're going to be able to offer the expertise to have that corrected.
It's all cumulative. It is. And
it is.
Both directions. So this is going on June 16th, 17th, and 18th.
Yeah, what a better Father's Day. So if you ladies want your man to have an awesome Father's Day, if you want to do it with your pa, sign up for this class. It's going to be, and I insisted too that, I've been told that I was crazy for how much we're going to be charging for this deal.
That was my question, guys, because we've got not only you two, we're going to have all sorts of other experts there. It's going to be a 2.5-day, 3-day event.
Yeah, it's not going to be a one-man show. We're going to tackle this from a lot of different angles. We're going to have like years and decades and decades and decades and decades of collective experience here, all sharing their gems of what they found in life.
So how about the bad news here, guys? What's the ticket price on this? Like $10,000, $15,000 to get in? What are we looking at here?
Yeah, we're gonna charge $300. Now I'll tell you what, man. I don't know what a lot of these classes originally costed, and I've been told by a lot of different people, dude, you need to charge more, and we probably will end up charging more in the future if this becomes a thing that we're going to do, more of. But in all honesty, I insisted that I want the common man to have access to this. I don't want just your tier 1 guys to be the only people who can afford it. So $300 is a pretty fair price from what I've been told.
Well, and for our first class, I think it's really cool that we're doing it at a lower price, because this is the people that have been following you for a long time. This is our listeners that have really tuned in are going to be showing up to this. So it's almost a gift back to them.
It was important to Rex and I that we make this, we wanted it to be affordable. We have, I know personally from experience, we could probably charge twice what we're charging and still fill the class up. That really isn't the point. We wanted to give something back to the people that have followed Rex all these years. I can tell you firsthand, you guys are tremendously loyal. You do a great job supporting him, and he appreciates that, and I appreciate that. And so we wanted to do this in a manner that would really allow most people to come in. You're going to get a lot out of this. Long-range shooting takes work. It takes practice. But until you know how to practice and until you eliminate all the other variables, you're really not going to get there. You really are just, every time you pull the trigger, it's $1.50, $2 to send that round down range. So the money you're going to save by coming to this course will pay many, many, many times over what you're going to spend for $300.
And spots are limited.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's limited availability for this, folks.
And we're making this first available, this announcement to the podcast listeners, because that's the most hardcore of the YouTube listeners that got over to the podcast and listen in real time. You guys, if you want the opportunity to get in the door, you have the first dibs. And we're going to make this available. I'm going to, in the email, and you can check out our website as well for the website viewers. We have the details of the class and what's all involved to get signed up, and the curriculum as well. And we'll go over some of the curriculum here in a little bit just to give you a sneak preview. All the details are going to be hammered out on the website, and also we're going to send that in the newsletter to all the subscribers as well. So if you guys want to get your foot in the door, you probably want to do that relatively quickly, because this will go out on YouTube land as well. And there's a big audience there, and I anticipate it'll probably fill up. So you guys probably want to get your foot in the door if this is something you had your heart set on. And I have no idea if we plan on doing these in the future. Paul and I would both love to do that, but this is all contingent upon my health and just how the world rolls and what happens. Who knows what's going to happen in the future? So I would strongly recommend taking advantage of it while it's available. And this is a first time deal. It's going to be awesome.
Another thing to look for when you go onto the website, as far as checking out what's going to be there and who's going to be there, we will have a sponsor spotlight page that will be up, so you can check out the different sponsors that are going to be vendors at our event on the page.
That's one of the things that's blown my mind, is that we've just been working on this for maybe 2.5, 3 weeks now.
And we didn't even hardly call anybody yet.
No, and already the sponsors are just Awesome. They're coming out of the woodwork.
And we're pretty discerning when we talk about the sponsors, too, because I wanted to make sure that we found the guys that are like the experts in the industry. So we're not going to...
They got to get Rex's stamp of approval.
They are Rex approved if they are a sponsor.
Yeah, and that's something we're pretty picky on. So we're going to make sure that these sponsors have something really cool to offer. And they're going to actually participate. We're going to have guest speakers as well that cover their little niche in the market and their little niche of expertise. And so you're not going to hear... just us two guys are going to get a lot of opinion and a lot of information as well. So it's going to be pretty awesome.
So it's a 3-day deal here. The first Friday night's kind of going to be a mixer seminar thing.
Yeah, you can go over the curriculum there if you like, Lou.
The first Friday night, that's going to be with everybody kind of sets up their booths and everything, correct?
Yeah, so the very first day is going to be that Friday evening, and that's just going to be kind of an open deal. We're going to have some speakers share some really cool information with you guys, kind of get jump-started, get your brain spinning, and get you ready to rock and roll. We're going to make ourselves available to kind of meet you guys and say howdy and kind of get a lot of that stuff out of the way so that when you get into the class atmosphere, everyone can be a little bit relaxed and ready to rock and roll, hit the ground running. We're going to tear into the material. It's going to be a pretty packed course of instruction. I don't think we bit off more than we can chew because there is a lot of stuff that's super important that we got to lay out there in the groundwork. Like we said before, we're going to send a lot of this stuff out to the people who do sign out ahead of time through email and through top secret videos that will give you the code, the launch codes too, so you can get in there and study some of this stuff. But yes, absolutely. The first day is going to be just kind of getting an introductory course. We're going to go over long range shooting in general, kind of generally what's involved and what's to be expected.
So is it fair to say that the next 2 days would kind of be like your Sniper 101 series condensed into...
It's going to be very different. It's going to be preparing people for actual in-person training. It's going to be a lot of overlap for sure. We're going to condense it, but we're going to really streamline it as well. I went over a lot of the raw scientific principle and a lot of the things that were going on in my exhaustive series that's been posted online.
Well, yeah, that'd take 5 years to go through the whole thing.
And I would recommend people would go through and study those because there's a lot of interesting stuff that we will be probably referencing in there. That's an excellent supplemental form of education. But the different thing about this training course that we're going to do in person here, this seminar, is that we are actually streamlining it. A lot of times the important points are lost in the 100 hours. Mm-hmm. And so people might be tempted to focus on some weird thing they found interesting. For example, Paul and I had this discussion in the past. I did talk about destabilization of projectile when they go transonic. Very interesting topic of discussion. And it's even a deal that's debated a lot amongst a lot of the professionals. A lot of guys think that's kind of voodoo, and it probably kind of is in terms of small arms rifle fire. It's something that's, very, very minute and tiny, but in the course of study, I found it to be very interesting, and I made a video about it. And a lot of people really put a lot of weight on that, and it's something to be aware of, and it's something that's interesting to understand the dynamics. However, the nice thing about this course is we're going to zero you in on the stuff that you should really focus on. Like we talked about before, there's a lot other bigger fish to fry. And so this is going to get you focused. We're going to take all of that peripheral information and we are now in the process of focusing it in. It's just like you can have the best optics in the world, the best components all laying there. That's what the Sniper 101 series is online. There's all the components of stuff you need in general. This course is going to really tie all those into a big single knot and then focus it in. I mean, my Schmidt and Bender scope sucks unless I focus it in. I'm telling you what, you got to turn that eyepiece, you got to get your parallax set. Until then, it's pretty blurry. So that's what this course is going to attempt to do. We're going to get you zeroed in and focused in on and tie all that information together into something that you are going to be able to digest and produce results with.
So Friday night's going to begin with the meet and greet and getting to know everybody and a basic overview of general long-range shooting. Then everybody hopefully gets a good night's sleep and we come back for a full day on Saturday, right?
Yep.
Is this curriculum here, is this set in stone or has this got a little wiggle room yet?
That's a very basic bullet point. There's going to be a lot more than we are going to list here in this initial curriculum. But this is the basic overview of what general direction we're headed.
Saturday, we've got an introduction to basic internal and external ballistics, and then an overview of different applications of long-range precision fire, whether that's long-range target shooting or maybe hunting or potential tactical applications of fire.
Yep. Now, that's something that we're just going to make you aware of. The type of instruction we're going to provide for you is going to be really the base level of operating a rifle efficiently and being precise at long range. And one of the nice things about Mr. McCoy's experience here, Paul McCoy's experience, is in the competition world, that is a very accurate representation of these applications. If you can run around with a bolt action rifle under pressure in the competitive pressure and streamline your process measured against other guys all in a race to do this properly and still hit a target out there at long range and do it effectively, you're going to be like an awesome, I mean, you can apply that to hunting, you can apply it to police work or whatever you might be doing with it. But we're just going to do that in mentioning that it's going to be applicable to all those different fields. Doesn't matter what you intend to do with your long range shooting, this is going to help you out in your game, whatever you're doing.
So then after that, we get to that first point of discussion there, and that's all of the equipment selection, whether it's your cartridge or bullet selection, and then also your rifle and optic selections as well.
Yep, and we're going to make sure that between Paul and I, we're going to zero in again on those things that are most important, and we're going to go through what you need to be worried about, what you don't need to be worried about, where you need to focus your attention when it talks about equipment selection. Going to let you know what kind of works, what kind of don't work, what really don't work, and Paul, especially with his experience seeing a lot of these platforms, I have a lot of experience in a different category too, is seeing a lot of different kinds of shooters operating stuff over the years, and in myself included, just in observation of what works. But in the competitive world, Paul has a whole nother angle there on, I mean, between the two of us and everybody else who we're going to have there, we're going to be able to really get you focused in on the right equipment.
I want to stress that we're not here to sell you anything. This is not about, hey, come to our seminar and we're going to tell you which scope to buy. What you're going to learn here is how to evaluate a scope so that you can go look at a piece of equipment and determine whether it meets your needs or not. A lot of this stuff's very subjective. Triggers, scopes, reticles, there's not a right answer. So when you leave this class, you're going to have the ability on the equipment end to go and make your own analysis of things and determine whether they meet your needs or not, and determine whether it's a good quality product or not. We're not here to tell you what to buy. We all have, Rex and I both have companies, things that we like, people that we trust, people that we know build a good product. And certainly we're not ashamed to recommend those, but you're not going to come to the seminar and it's going to be a 2-day commercial for us to try to sell you a given barrel or a given action. That's not going to be the case at all. We're going to teach you how to determine what works for you.
It's about education, because you give a man a rifle and he can eat for a day, or if you teach a man to shoot, he can hunt for a lifetime.
That's it.
There you
Something
go.
like that. So then the final day is going to be an overview of applying that fire at various long-range applications and an overview of basic and advanced long-range rifle marksmanship.
Yeah, that's going to be that strategy part. That's where we're going to teach you actually how to take all this information, like we said before, all those different streams of thought that we did talk about in the Sniper 101 series. That's a lot of information, man. And if you just pick like some peripheral issue and focus on that and make that the foundation, it's not going to be an effective strategy. You got to focus, you got to build the base, and then you got to build upon that in a way that's streamlined, effective, and efficient. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to teach you the procedure of walking your way through a firing solution. And we did that somewhat in the 101 series, but we're going to really streamline this and give you effective means of making sure that when you walk away from this deal, you're going to know what you actually need to do to consistently get pretty darn close or nail it at long distances without screwing around.
So we've got calculating and then also executing those firing solutions.
Absolutely.
And then the capstone of the whole event will be the peripheral equipment, advice, and recommendations, along with the secrets, tips, shared experiences, and those golden nuggets of information.
Yeah, so after we get a lot of the base work done and we get a lot of the basic knowledge of ballistics and which things you do need to concern yourselves with concerning ballistics or equipment selection, and those things which you don't need to be concerned with, then we'll be in a position where you guys can appreciate some of these long-range tips and gold nuggets, and also just peripheral equipment. There are certain tools that are really going to help you out, and there's other tools that ain't going to help you out so much. So we're going to definitely direct you in and get you focused in on that stuff as well.
So along with all the knowledge, they're also going to have some fun stuff going on, right? Whatever they pay for the class now is what they get off when they sign up for the future class.
That's the other thing too, guys. If you do want the in-person instruction, we're going to make that available in the fall, like Mr. McCoy said. And the price, the $300 for the seminar, being that it's a prerequisite course that we really recommend you guys take this course as part of the other deal. That is going to be deducted completely from the cost of the in-person training, which is going to come up later in the year. And those generally cost a little bit more, but so this is going to save you $300 off of the price of the course when it comes up. And that's going to be in-person training. It's going to be a lot less people we're going to be able to take in because we're going to really keep a close eye on you guys and help walk you through individually exactly what you're doing. And I think that we're going to get you zeroed in pretty good.
Yeah, the training in the fall is going to be a really good student instructor ratio. It'll be 5 students per instructor. I will be bringing in some of the other PRS guys that I shoot with who are just not only phenomenal shooters. I meet a lot of guys who are really good shooters that just don't have the patience to teach. Teaching is very much a patience thing.
Yes, sir.
And some of the guys will tell you that. Some of the guys will tell you, I have no desire to teach. And they're guys that can finish, top 3 in a match, but they will tell you they've got no business trying to teach anybody else. So
yeah, people that know what they're doing and can effectively communicate that are few and far between. And that's what Paul has helped me find these guys that we're gonna get a real good crew put together so we can get you some really good instruction.
Yeah, we're gonna really focus and try to really put forth the probably as good a long range class as you will ever take this fall out on the range. It's going to be probably 3 or 4 days. It's going to be a little pricey, but you're going to get a huge amount. You're going to walk away from this class being a long range shooter, somebody who can go to anywhere in the United States and throw the rifle down and figure out how to hit a target under just about any conditions. And we're going to teach you all that problem solving that really works. And we're going to get away from all that minutia that you read on the internet that's not going to help you, humidity or Coriolis or whatever, things that
all the most fun stuff, man.
Yeah.
It's my favorite topics too, is a lot of that peripheral information that's just interesting. But in reality, when it comes to hitting the target, we're going to help zero you in on what that really is, guys.
Yes,
and
sir.
so you definitely are going to want to check out this course if you want to get into the game.
Like we said, this is a prerequisite, and anybody that does take this class will be fast-tracked to acceptance for the one in the fall.
Yep, that's the plan. So you're going to have a first opportunity. Hopefully, it depends on how many people want to take that class in the fall and how fast. But yeah, this prerequisite course, if we do multiple courses, we'll make sure that anyone who's taken the seminar will give you that discount for whatever the price of the seminar is as we go forward. And these prices are subject to change in the future. This one is going to be the fixed price. We've decided $300. It's probably going to go up, to be honest with you guys. This is just our launch point here. We're getting started, but to make sure that we can maintain the level of instruction for the in-person course, to maintain the quality of the venue so you guys can get there in comfort and having this stuff is hard to line up with getting the course and the range. There's a lot of details just to cover the cost of the operation. So it's definitely something I would love to make this stuff available for free. And that's what I attempted to do online, but you can't really do that. And it has to be in person if you really want to. So all those people who want to have the super advanced knowledge in-person deal, we're making that available. But in order to fly down there and get the crew down there and get the crew assembled and the rock and roll guys to take time out of their lives, we're making it as cheap as humanly possible. But I do anticipate the price probably will go up a little bit in the future.
Well, and one thing people don't know about the Rex Reviews podcast or even about Tiborosaurus Rex on YouTube, those different things, that is volunteer work. We don't get paid for doing that stuff for you guys. So it is for the class and those things, making it as cheap as possible. We try to do that, but
yeah, and I think that we're going to make sure the podcast crew is going to be down there. Lou and Casey are going to be joining us. So if you want to meet any of us and hang out, and we're going to make a kind of a media event about it, and we're going to have it's going to be fun. We're going to have a lot of fun on the side as well, guys. You guys are going to dig it.
Yeah, we're going to have a good time. The course will, to some degree, be a prerequisite for the fall range course. You're going to get the discount. What we will tell you is, while it may not be an absolute requirement that you take this initial classroom to take the fall class, we're going to be very selective about who gets into the fall class if you have not taken this class, because the reality is, and I've been doing this for a long time, you can have one student whose equipment is not up to the task who will literally hold up the entire class. And that's not fair to the other students. So we're going to be very cautious about the level of equipment that you bring to the course.
We're going to have extreme vetting. And this seminar is going to really help you. If you take the seminar, and we're going to have a way to evaluate how much you soaked in at the seminar as well, too. So it's not a deal that's probably going to be universally available. We're going to be somewhat selective and make sure that people, if they do show up at the in-person training, are going to be able to keep up with it. So
right. It's not fair to the other students for one person to hold the class up. And I've had that happen in some of the training that I've done, and have literally had to let students come back and take the class again because one student pretty much held up the entire class to the point that nobody learned anything. And so it's not, we're not trying to be unfriendly or not, work with you, but we're just going to make sure that anybody who comes to this 2.5 day class in June is going to be, automatically qualified to come to the class in the fall. You're still going to have to give us your equipment list. We're still going to have to approve your equipment list, but you're going to get priority seating for the fall class. That class, I suspect, will fill up very quickly. We have already got people trying to sign up for this class in June.
And we didn't even announce it.
And we haven't announced it yet.
It's still top secret.
And it's still top secret. And we've already got 3 to 4 people who've committed to coming. So this class will be limited to 80 people in June. I suspect that it will fill up very quickly. So we hope that you'll make the June class for sure. Once you see the quality of the training there, I think it'll be pretty easy to see that the class in the fall where we take you out to the range is going to be well worth coming to, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We're gonna have some really good shooters out there. Some of my buddies that I shoot with that have proven the ability to teach. And so you're going to get a lot of different viewpoints. You learn something different from everybody. You're also going to find out that Rex and I don't agree on everything. We have a lot of different viewpoints. And I wouldn't say that one of us...
Different perspectives.
Yeah, I wouldn't say either one of us is wrong. There's
it's
just
interesting,
ways
too,
to look
though.
at.
And we were talking about this earlier, and I had a chance to hang out with Paul all day today and yesterday, and we had some good times and stuff, and we're hammering out some of our philosophies on the long-range shooting. And it's interesting that on all the fundamental key points that are necessary to actually not suck at long range, we're pretty much identical in our methodology on the fundamental points. But there are some issues that, we come at it from different angles, and his application is going to be different than mine. And I think that is highly valuable for you guys to be able to see this in real time and have the different perspectives as well, because if you're doing one thing with the precision shooting or doing a different thing, there's going to be different schools of thought on that. So we're going to probably make fun of each other a little bit at this event too, on our areas where we do kind of disagree, and maybe equipment selection or things that might or might not be important. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we'll have a good time. The students will have a good time. You're going to get a tremendous level of information, and there are different levels of knowledge. And when I met Rex, he was really the first guy that I had met that had that kind of tier 1 level of knowledge, who was not either a tier 1 military guy or a professional shooter, professional competition guy. I learn because I get to shoot with the best shooters in the world, and we talk, and we have the same problem. And I failed to make a shot, but the next guy makes it. I say, "Hey, how'd you do that?" And he tells me. And the next stage, I'm making the shots, cleaning the stage, and he can't hit anything, and he's asking me. And so we have such a tremendous exchange of information in the Precision Rifle Series, and we've got so many guys now that have come from tier 1 and tier 2 military backgrounds who are now shooting in the Precision Rifle Series. They're now taking that information back to some of the military units, and it's flowing downhill. And it's always fascinating to me to get to meet people who have different backgrounds. I deal with a lot of law enforcement snipers, and those guys are really good at certain things. And there are other things that I know that they know nothing about, and there are things they know that I know nothing about. Mm-hmm. Military guys are the same way. Sometimes I can tell them things and they're just like, wow, I'd never even thought about that. But then they know things that I'm really not good at. So you're going to have the opportunity not only to learn from the instructors, but the other students that will be there are going to bring their own level of experience, their own knowledge, and you'll be able to meet and greet with them on Friday night. It's going to be a lot of fun. We really have some top level guys. We've got, guys who have got 20 years experience building triggers who are going to come talk to you about triggers. And we got guys who build some of the best chassis in the nation who are going to talk to you about.
I guarantee it's
chassis.
going to be the ultimate download of information. We got some awesome dudes coming around.
Yeah.
You guys are going to get a kick out of these guys. These are the guys I talked about earlier, Lou, with the bearded ones, the elders, the guys with the giant antlers. So we got all the big old bucks rounded up for this deal who've been doing this forever, and it's going to be pretty awesome to hear it firsthand from the rock stars. You know what I mean?
It's going to be such an incredible accumulation of just awesome knowledge coming from all over.
And it's such a joy for me to just be able to help facilitate it. And I've never really seen myself as an expert in any one thing, but I do just enjoy the whole craft deal, and to be able to find guys like Paul and all the other experts who are going to participate. It's awesome to kind of just like herd everyone in the same pile and say, okay, now this is like the ultimate team here. What's that movie? The Magnificent Seven or whatever?
The Expendables? Or?
Yeah, I don't know. You know, you got these like super groups or whatever. I always enjoy that. I think it's neat. And
this is a super group.
I think it's going to be awesome. And another thing to consider too is there's a lot of good rifle instruction, and a lot of people ask me like, what's my opinion on certain Mr. So-and-so as an instructor? And I think that any of these guys who are at the level where they're instructing have certain things that they do have hammered down good enough that are very important to learn, but it's a whole different opportunity to be able to have all the information from different angles simultaneously.
Yeah.
Because it's like your eyeballs. God gave you two eyeballs for a reason. You can walk around with one eye, but you don't got any kind of depth perception. If you have two eyeballs working at the same time, all of a sudden you can perceive that third dimension. Right? And that's the same thing when you're talking about any subject matter, is that tackling it from a couple different perspectives and having people explain it in different ways is going to be like supercharging the level of understanding, and we're going to be able to plot it out in a lot more of a three-dimensional way. And I think that that's going to be the coolest thing about this, is not just having one guy's opinion myself. I insist that I have other guys' opinions, and Paul himself. I mean, we're going to all play off. It's going to be it's going to resonate, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be an awesome resonation chamber of awesomeness.
That was my goal for this class was, I've taken some classes. Each one of them had things that I learned, but I didn't feel like any of them were complete. I left there with about as many questions as I had answers.
Sure.
And I've always wanted the opportunity to teach a class where when you left there, you had pretty much heard it all, or heard what you need to know. There's no all, but you heard what actually mattered. We're going to cut down to what matters and what makes you hit targets.
And that's the hard part. A lot of guys who are into long-range shooting and have been studying it for years and have been doing it, who a lot of people even would seek instruction, they might not realize that they're already on that top tier of level of skill, and it's really hard to satisfy that crowd. And that's something that Paul and I want to line up too. We have information that even those guys we're going to really have some stuff going on here that's going to, even just with some of this, I don't want to reveal the secrets. Am I allowed? It's top secret information. Paul's looking at me over here. But no, we're going to have some pretty good stuff. We're going to make sure that even the guys with the big antlers have a lot to walk away with when they're done with this course. And a lot of these guys might not realize they're at that skill level to where a lot of the other training that a guy might receive might be geared to get you up to the level that you might already be at. And if you are at that level, we're going to make sure you walk away with something. If you're brand new and don't know what the heck's going on, but you want to get into it, that's actually even better, because a lot of times folks learn crazy stuff that ain't good. So no matter where you're at, we're going to make sure that you're not left in the dust if you're brand new. And if you're very experienced, we're going to have enough collective experience. I guarantee you're going to walk away a better shooter, and you're going to have a whole different ways of thinking about it.
And for all you guys out there with big antlers that want to get involved, we are still, if you want to be involved in any way, get onto our website, go to www.rexreviews.org and send us a message. Just make sure to put in the subject line RX17, and we'll definitely take a look at that.
Sure. Any potential sponsors that also want to help out, especially with our crew that's come down, Lou and Casey, they're donating time out of their busy schedules and lives. These are both professionals, and we're trying to make sure that we got them all situated in terms of airfare to get down there.
Whoa. Professional? Professional what?
Professional what now?
You said we were professionals? What are we professional at?
At everything?
Yeah. At the podcast and life.
At life?
What I'm trying to say is that, like Casey mentioned earlier, for the crew here, it's a volunteer thing, and we're having a lot of fun with this. But if we can make sure that their cost is like totally covered and it's not a burden for them to come and help out with the event, that would be incredible. So any support you guys can send just in terms of sponsoring these guys to come down, to cover rooms, to cover. So, I mean, they might even want to eat a sandwich over that weekend. So if not, they're going to have to be like finding squirrels out in the bushes and eating squirrels and stuff to make it. So.
Well, and an added benefit for you guys, too, is if you do want to support us and you do want to participate, we are offering things in exchange. We are doing live broadcasts of the sponsors, so we can review products or different things that you might have there. Other things that we're doing to kind of give back is our sponsor spotlight on our webpage, where we will give a brief overview of what you guys do, what's great about your company, and link it straight to your company's webpage. So anybody that's interested in our sponsors will get the opportunity to go check you out.
Yeah, so if you guys are willing to help out the crew to get down there and equip them with whatever help you can have, we're going to make sure that we give you an opportunity to throw your name out there and communicate what it is that you're doing. All the help is much appreciated.
And speaking of all these different experts we've got lined up, can we give any names now?
I can give you a couple clues. We got John Huber coming down. He's the Huber Concepts. He's going to talk about the human interfacing with the rifle through the trigger. He's got a lot of really interesting stuff to say and what's state of the art in the trigger world today. We also got Val with IOR Val Data. He's going to be showcasing some of the latest technology in terms of some of the 40 millimeter main tube scopes. He's going to be there. We also got Mr. George Benke with Mirage ULR. He's going to explain the evolution of rifle stock design and what a modern stock is. Has the advantages over the ancient style stock, which is very commonly currently still employed in rifle shooting. We got a lot of other folks coming down too. Surprise guests. We got Mr. Urek. He's going to be from Accuracy Solutions. He's going to talk about some of the geometry that can assist you in terms of stabilizing your platform and how you situate your bipod. Just all kinds of really neat folks that are going to come down and also participate, guest speakers that you guys can meet in person and really hammer out these details with. So you're going to dig it.
Pretty awesome stuff, folks. Of course, this is going on June 16th through the 18th, 2017 at the Bass Pro Shops in Grapevine, Texas. Right out of Dallas there. So we're super excited to get out of the icy tundra up here and venture out. And we appreciate everybody's support to make this all happen, because if it wasn't for the community and all the listeners and dedicated fans, this wouldn't happen. But it's synergy, and you can just feel it all coming together here. And
there's already folks scrambling over each other here to get into the class. So there are limited spots available. If this is something you had your heart set on, I would strongly recommend getting your foot in the door on it. And like we said, this is definitely money saved. It does cost a little bit, but it's going to save you thousands of dollars of screwing around. And this is something that I think that Paul and I definitely got cornered. We'll share with you all our collective experience on all this stuff that doesn't work. And that's going to be just worth it right there alone.
So for $300, you get into this class, you get a ton of knowledge. We're going to have some fun. You get to meet a lot of people that you probably wouldn't have the opportunity of meeting otherwise. And I think we got some freebie giveaway type stuff going on, as well as the $300 off if you do join the second class.
Yep. So subtract the tuition of the class that you'll be paying for the in-person instruction that comes up later in the fall. That will be subtracted from that. So it's going to be just a really good opportunity. And I can't wait to meet some of you guys out there who've been awesome dudes for such a long time following along with us. And this is going to really tie it all together.
Yes, sir. Also important to note here that the tuition fee is non-refundable. No refunds on that bad boy.
Due to all the costs of booking and everything that we had to put into it, we won't be able to refund that money, but it will be totally available for the next time one of these seminars comes up. If it does come up, that will carry over. If for some reason, God forbid, you break a leg or something like that, you can still use that money for a future class. So if you do miss it for some unfortunate reason, we'll definitely work with you on that to make sure that you can still get into a class in the future. Just due to the logistics of the situation, unfortunately, we won't be able to refund that money, but we will definitely give you a seat at the next class.
Yes, sir.
If just a detail we wanted to have hammered out there as well. Rock and roll. Well, thank you so much for answering the questions. And like we said, guys, make sure you go on the old website and get the details on the RX-17 coming up in mid-June, Father's Day weekend. You don't want to miss us. A lot of people rushing in there to get in the door. So make sure you check it out, and we'll meet you down there.
Only 80 spots available for the RX-17 Long Range Precision Rifle Seminar going on in Grapevine, Texas, coming up later this spring. And we're all excited. We're all pumped up. And if you had your mind blown listening to this podcast today, having these two experts over here, these two gurus, and they're both rolling their eyes at me now because they're both so humble about what they do. my mind is blown just listening to you two. I can't wait for June because we're going to have even more of you, and it's just going to be awesome, guys. So prepare yourselves. Mark your calendars, June 16th through the 18th. Details coming up on rexreviews.org and also in the newsletter when this podcast drops.
Thanks for listening, guys, and we'll see you down there.
Thanks for having me. I've enjoyed being here. Look forward to coming back.
Thank you so much for venturing all the way up here, Mr. Paul McCoy from PMAC Precision. Check out his website for more information on the beautiful work that he does. And really, thanks again for making the venture up here, sir. And for all of you listeners out there, the ones of you that can make it, we'll see you in Texas in June.
But she hits me just to scrambles my leg. So I went to the doctor and he gave me a leg. Now she waits, some of us are dreaming, praying, hope that she kills instead of leaving with me. Cause she's a minefield, she'll bite your body from your soul. Minefield, leave a big smoke.